Okay, so I decided I'm gonna do a short podcast. I'm running really low on time. I have, I'd say, 10 minutes. So why don't we go over something I thought about. Let's because I don't like anything that I'm finding on the internet, right? So I was looking at. I remember I don't really go on the internet much these days. It's kind of complicated, right? I just post stuff on my blog, but I don't actually do anything anymore. I just go. I really just. Oh, I honestly do. I just do a podcast. So, anyways, I'm gonna just have a drawing thing. I figured out how to do Scott Adams whiteboard format. That's kind of what I was thinking about like a while back. So let's look at this. So these are my notes that I had from my last podcast about a number of shoes to buy. I did a plan, source, deliver, make model. It's not like the make model, but I basically did this over again for supply chain. And I was thinking of doing military grade boots. And why so those? Because those are very useful boots to have when you're trying to go out walking back then. So back this is what I would think would be a sustainable business model. Your demand forecasting sell military boots. This is back in, let's say, 1776. Probably not anything relevant in today's era, because today's era is selling on tech. Yeah, so that's kind of what we got. And then what we got now is now it's a sustainable business model. I haven't seen it quite yet in any fashion. All right, let's see. Let's go. All right, I'm gonna be awkward. I'm basically just A/B testing what I'm doing. Okay, here's T military. Military model, right? This is a military. I'm gonna start cleaning this a little bit so I can start doing. This is like a whiteboard. Scott had a whiteboard thing. I just did this on Word. This is a business built on love, right? Right. We got plan, source, make, deliver. This is a very useful model, and if you see it now, this is the drawing I got. It's like a Rubik's cube, and I thought about it when I was doing this, and I was thinking, we might keep making new iterations. So can I actually erase stuff? I think you can actually erase stuff. Here we go. Oh. Oh. Yeah, so I can actually do that, apparently. It's an increase. But anyways, yeah, apparently I can erase layers. Just found out. Anyways, I'm thinking. I just think I figured out how the data nodes for YouTube just work just now. So got a new drawing here. So let's look at some information nodes, right? How a YouTube view counter works, right? I just thought about this last night. So let's say, and this is my guess because no one's gonna ping back to me. Let's say you got all these people, right? These are data nodes, and let's say they're all watching your videos, right? And let's say you got a bunch of circles. So you got a circle here. each one's a viewer, right? Let's say, and this is something I found in probability math statistics. I finally figure out, I know what the probability tree is now. So, and I'll give you some more complex diagrams. So let's say this YouTube video has one viewership counts 80 views on this video, right? Let's see, it counts 100. The other one from some other country counts 1,000, right? This one counts 500, right? They're counting video. This let's say this is the same video, right? And the view, and this is the view count for this is for one video, by the way. Let's say there's you got one for 20, and so does YouTube keep track of it? No, it doesn't actually. These are all separate increment counters. So let's see. This one has 5. This one has 1. And this one has 100. So let's look back. So what ends up happening is you got this viewership, right? It's trying to ping back, and you got to, and before it pings back to any of this, they all have to go back to what is known as a data center, right? Right. This is a data center. You see the square box? These are data centers. And these are within your local regions of the area. These tell you what's your that's kind of what it is, because what these do is they give you the information for each of the counters. And this in the circle is what is displaying the information from these squares, right? These database centers that count how many views you're getting. And then so what ends up happening is when you watch a video, you're sending data back, right? So you're sending data back to the back to the data center. Right? You're sending it everywhere. Now here's the couple thing, right? It doesn't always, and depending on how convoluted Sundara or Google made this, it's not always that straightforward. Right? You don't know. So when you click on the video, which is you, the circle, it shows you what the view display is. And so why are they having different views? It's because they're counting individual points per geographic region. So when you see a video saying 80 views for, like, let's say Wisconsin, there's only 80 people at the time watching that, right? Wisconsin, I don't know what the states are. Let's say New York was 100 views. That's 100 views for New York at the time, right? Washington has 1,000, right? So there's only 1,000 views in that region. So what this does, so what they do is they ping back to each other, and then all of this goes back to Google headquarters. Let's go at this, right? So if you ever looked at a software matrix, this is kind of what you got, right? Google or YouTube headquarters, right? Look, Google HQ. So everything that goes around this circular ring, they're all reporting and communicating back to each other. Right, so anytime the data node is asking the data center that reports for that individual region, hey, look, right, what's the view count for whoever's in my state? What's the number of views I'm getting for that state or city? Can you do this with like just one data center? Theoretically, it's possible. The thing is, it takes too long. It really does take too long because you have to go back to Google HQ, right? So you don't have any of these squares. Nothing's being reported. So what ends up happening is Google HQ has to set up more fiber optic cables, right? More wire meshing. Instead of having and And the data can be more easily lost, remember? So if you're transporting large packets of data and you can't split it, it can get lost due to natural weather disasters, right? Like a thunderstorm, a hurricane, you know, avalanches, just all sorts of things. So we're all grabbing information from this, and these all report back. You see this long string, right? All these fiber optic cables, they all come from here. So you do not, they all mainly report, and sometimes because Google, because of the censorship thing, you got logic gates here, right? So there's a logic gate. Like if you don't watch the whole video, right, it may not report it as a view. So you have to figure out what, and I really don't like the Google staff. Why do they even start political censorship? Such a waste of time. And they have to add more coding. But you know, it's what it is. You gotta add more coding. It's like, hey, do you want to report this as a view? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I was an SJW, I wanted to censor stuff. You just ban the account that's watching it. Get it over with. All right, you got a subscriber? Can't log on anymore. Bye. I banned the YouTuber. Anyways, and if they really cared. Well, I saved them so much money. Just say, hey, look, we got rid of the guy who watched the right-wing video. If the right-winger's still there, if he wants to get that subscriber back, he's going to have to do some legitimate laps, right? It's like a hostage situation. So we're reporting different data centers depending on the city, and it goes back here. Now, are there always? No, not quite. Now you want to know why it has to be a wire gate here? Like the fiber optic cables have to be through like 1 or 2 data centers. It all has to ping back to one of these arbitrary ones. It has to be the one closest to Google HE. If you want to know why, it could be multiple, right? I'm just giving you a simplified diagram. So you add some logic gates. Before SimDeer did this weird thingy-majiggy with YouTube, right? There were no logic gates, right? This is the past. The past had no logic gates. Well, this is fun to add this stuff. Right, before, pre-Google, right? There was no logic gate. It was just simply a wire mesh that just reported the views regardless if you watched the whole thing or even partially watched the whole thing. The moment you clicked on it, right? Boom. Right, you got a view. I don't know how do you let's go look for it. Forget about it. Let's not look for a thumbs up emoji. That's pretty immature. Minnesota. These are all data centers. This is I swear to God, this is one of those, I just thought about it. So, right, so this is a wrong. So you gotta ask, and then it goes pings back. So it asks, right? It's just asking, right? It's asking, hey, data center, tell me how many views it's got. Now you're wondering, well, where's the web frame? Where's the API? Now, obviously, it's a little more complicated than that. Right? You obviously are communicating to a web API, which then let me just circle right. That later communicates to a data center. Right. Obviously, that's what we're doing, but I want to show you something simplified because you can do that. Right. The reason why you want a web API is because it just it outsources the labor, I think. Because the YouTube layout, I think, can be done on a database. I could be wrong. When I looked at Excel for database, for SQL and stuff, or Azure database, I think, I could be wrong, you can do a little bit of coding on the side. And I think it's enough to do HTML and CSS on the side. Now, please double check in the comments. I think so. I could be wrong. Yeah, I could be wrong. It doesn't cost you much. You probably could just piss off Bill Gates. just get everything for free, of course, set up YouTube. I don't know what people do these days. I barely pass C++. I don't know. I could be unqualified. So true false gates. The more censorship you add, the more true false and filtering systems you add, which is kind of weird. It sounds like a waste of time. I don't know. I again never had an MBA or a bachelor's. I think you could have done YouTube for free with asking free software from Bill Gates. Oh, I beg you, school system. Retweet school. You don't ask for YouTube. Just say, I need some software. The videos would load about the same, but I would only do this once I purchased the US government. Then you don't have to pay for anything. Yeah, I don't know. What's the whole point of purchasing the CIA unless you're trying to not pay for infrastructure costs, right? Once you purchase the government, infrastructure is, I think, $0. I think it's $0. Now, before, it's somewhere like, oh, hey, look, you have maintenance costs. You're paying, like, I don't know, $5,000 every Q1 quarter. Now, with the US government purchase, $0, everything free of charge, because you can just ask for a web API, and you can obviously bully the US government to get you what you want. Everyone does. I mean, the politicians don't stand for anything. And if you're already bought off by China, I don't think you can really withstand the might of Silicon Valley. Doesn't matter if you're the left or right. Okay, part of the CIA, you can just say, "Hey, I'm going to make the CIA infight. Now you gotta do what I want, Joe Biden." Yes, Jim Deere, I do whatever you want. That is what happens when you purchase CIA, right? Like, you want a legitimate Republican coup, Joe Biden? Oh, I get free stuff now. Thank you. That's kind of how I don't know why else would you buy the U.S. government. This is what McConnell did back when Obama ran for 2012. McConnell's like, I'm going to stonewall you, and all the lobbyist groups are all right-wing people all of a sudden. You don't call yourself right-winger, you call yourself a rational centrist. Oh, you can't be plain about that one. Anyways. Can I even go back? Oh, what happened? Okay, let's go do another blank page. I had a data node earlier.